What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer, guys, back yet again. More solo ranked deathmatch. So we're going to speed through this one. We're going to double time these videos, at least this one for this time. Again, just cognizant of you probably don't want to spend all day watching me play this game, especially with these deathmatch games. You guys know it's a lot of build and a lot of just kind of simple stuff going on here at the beginning. So for this one, I'm using Kinsano still. I have a weekly challenge that I'm trying to get through, and I've actually really come to appreciate her. She's definitely moving up on my tier list for leaders as far as it's concerned, just because of her leader powers. Her top tier leader powers, in my opinion, are some of the best. Inferno is huge for damage, and her Firestorm battle group ends up doing a lot of great damage for me. So pretty simple build order here. I have come to find, and this is only my second game of ranked deathmatch. So again, by no means like a professional at any point, but just some tips for me. I've come to see at least in these few games that I've played, that typically I'm not seeing as much of the rush strategy. That might have something to do with the fact of my CSR that I'm playing against is probably relatively low, to be honest, because my win-loss ratio wasn't super great when I was playing this. And I think we talked in a different video kind of about ranks. I think there's a small portion that that may have to do with it. But one thing that I've been doing at the outset, a lot of this pretty standardized setup, but I've found that I've been able to expand and really kind of get a good foothold without a ton of pressure coming in first. So you're seeing in this map, I'm grabbing the two small bases. I'm just throwing some supplies and some generators on there. My standard base build is honestly pretty much the same as it always is, and I'm a fan of it just because it gives me options more into the mid and the later game. You guys know that I'm kind of a mid to late game player. I like to kind of get built up, set up, get things going. So you're seeing I'm already expanding to the second base. That's an option for you. The other thing that you could do instead is set up and kind of get your first base a little bit more upgraded. I like to get that second base personally for a few reasons. One, my resource output, especially with the new balance changes to the game, my resource output's going to be a lot better. Two, it kind of provides a little bit of a distraction, to be honest, if I start to get some early game pressure, which I haven't seen a ton of so far. For this, the rest of my build order is pretty much the same. Always supply pad, generator, supply pad. I get another generator. I get the armory going because I do like to get those upgrades, especially advanced logistics. I'm coming to find is definitely beneficial, and really, if you do start to take some early game pressure, that can kind of keep you in it because your ability to pump out units a little bit faster. Also, with my main base, I'm always trying to get up to level 3, generally pretty quickly. I've come to find too, if you do grab that second base, and you see here a lot of just kind of moving around building, I'm just building standard Marines. I haven't even actually upgraded them, which is one probably mistake that I made in this game. But the one thing I'm going to kind of do here with some small groups of Marines is use them as my scout, just kind of try to figure out what this guy's got going on. I've been able to grab 3 of the power generators, which has been really good. I'm going to continue kind of expand. I always like to keep a few units in front of the base in case it does get attacked, and then as you see with that more forward base, the base that he would really run into first, I make a priority to put my turrets on that base. So at this point, again, with me grabbing all these power generators right here, these groups of Marines do a good job. I'm finding that he's not expanding very much, which is really giving me the capability to kind of push forward and expand a little bit. I'm going to move these small groups forward. I kind of want to keep them in an area where I can kind of see what's going on. I see that he's got this base getting built up over here. I'm going to garrison a few units just to provide myself a little bit of additional warning. And I know at this point he's already expanded to a second base, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start powering up. And I've probably got some time at this point. I have become a big fan of pairing up my Marines with some air units. I noticed that he's not over here. He's really not pushing very much, which is telling me that I can expand quite a bit. I'm going to take this base out. And again, Kinsano's leader powers, that's why I've really enjoyed using her. Her Flame Warthog, her Veteran Warthog drop, her Firestorm Battle Group, and Inferno are just really good. So you're seeing me here at this point, because I've got so many bases, I've got so much stuff set up, and so many things upgraded. I'm essentially just going to continue to pump out upgrades, and I'm going to just try to, again, expand as far as I can. So we expand to here, we take that, because he tried to take that base and get that base going. I know he's got a decent base set up here, kind of on the left-hand side. And at this point, again, I'm really just setting this up and building a little bit of everything so that whatever I end up facing, I can do a decent job. So my standard army has always kind of been, I'm going to build Marines. I'm obviously going to get my hero unit, so Kinsano here. I'm going to build a kind of diversity of air units, so a couple Hornets, and then I really do like the Vulture, because it does have a great amount of health. It also does a great amount of damage, and the fact that it can attack both air and ground at the same time is a huge benefit for me. So at this point, I'm just trying to kind of get built up a little bit, continue to power up. Again, I'm going to kind of continue to diversify my army. You see me building some barracks. You see me build in a couple of garages. I want to have the capability to build everything. I got a Scorpion that pumps out here, use my last leader power to get that Firestorm Battle Group. And at this point, I'm really well set up, in my opinion, at this point. He's going to have kind of a hard time making this fight, especially once I start to upgrade all of these different buildings and get turrets on everything. And at this point, I realize, we're about 14 minutes into the game. He's probably got a decent amount of units up. I'm just checking to make sure what leader powers I have before I go to hit this. I'm going to bring this in, and I'm like, all right, it's time to attack, go on the offensive, put some pressure on. His main base is probably pretty well upgraded with turrets and the like. So we want to be cognizant of that. I'm going to kind of use a few of the Marines. And I realize one big key mistake I make is, guys, if you are playing any of the Covenant, and again, this is just my lack of knowledge and lack of playing this mode, you got to have something that has detect, because if they get to Headquarters 3 and they can do those cloaking generators, they're in a pretty good position. I realize at this point I probably should have upgraded my Marines a long time ago. These Nightingales, they fly in really fast. I realized that was kind of a mistake on my point. I still am going to drop this Inferno in, kind of hoping that he put his cloaking generator more towards the front. He did not, sadly. But Inferno here, as you can see, it is still doing a huge amount of damage. And one of the reasons, again, I really enjoy using Kinsano is because of that top tier leader power, and it's really not that bad, especially if you have more of an early game expansion mentality like I did. It's really not too bad to get to. So as I always do with these bases, focus on the turrets. I'm going to drop this Firestorm Battle Group in here with a 3 veteran level. These things are just brutal, and I like the mix of units because at no point is it really can it really be taken down by any single type of unit. Again, you're always going to feel like especially near the beginning of these games, you got the scout rush that's still kind of prevalent at least, but you're going to see a lot of infantry, which is essentially what this guy is doing. Now while I've got kind of the pressure on this base, my units are kind of on autopilot. They're going to continue to attack, take out turrets, do all that good stuff. I'm taking the extra time that I've kind of built myself to kind of just move around my bases and make sure everything that I can is upgraded. I think if you can I would classify this as kind of mid-game pressure. I've built up a good army. I've got a really great expansion going on. I think if you can do that and if you were the first one to put pressure on their base, you end up setting yourself up good because it just buys you time to do things. So he's going to have to set up his army to kind of attack my army that's sitting up right there. At this point, I know he's at headquarters level 3 because of the cloaking generator, so I know he's got the capability to probably pump a lot of units, but I didn't really see anything specific from him to really concern me as far as a type of way or something that I would need to defend against. So, for instance, if he went air, I should probably be queuing up some garages and making some Wolverines and stuff like that. But nothing really keyed me off. I saw a lot of infantry. And the nice thing, again, with her, calling in Firestorm Battle Group, I made a few Hornets. That drops in a few Hornets. I made a Scorpion. That drops in a Scorpion. I've got some Marines, Nightingales. I mean, I have stuff, generally just a good army, a good balanced army, which, you can say whatever you want about it, but I do seriously think that's extremely beneficial and makes for a hard fight and hard to fight against, because there's not a single unit again that he's going to be able to crank out, even if he does have advanced logistics all the way pumped up. There's not a whole lot that he's going to be able to do to crank out to be able to fight that. A couple of vultures in there, so some of those more top tier, units with a lot more health. He does a great leader power there, which I realize ends up taking out my Nightingales, which kind of sucks. But again, if you have the capability, and you can do like I did right there, where you've kind of just continued to expand, I think you're going to find yourself in some pretty good situations here. Now, obviously, I could have moved these units out because I know I'm taking turret damage, but I get a Nightingale in. I'm going to push to actually fight and destroy this cloaking generator, which is tough. They can take a lot of damage, but at this point, I feel pretty confident. I'm going to call on some more units. I'm just going to get these guys over here. And as you can see, a lot of that Firestorm battle group really is just doing the dirty work and doing really well. So not too tough of a game. He didn't really put on a lot of pressure, allowed us to build up really fast. And I think the endgame statistics will kind of show if you do some earlier expansion than them, especially with the changes, you're really going to see how that can affect and really play into kind of helping you to win a lot of these matches, just because you're going to be out resourcing them. You can see I almost doubled the resources. So a little bit more solo war. I'm going to continue to play this, continue to refine, but hopefully you saw a little bit of things, took a few things from that. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button. I've been Dr. My Average Gamer, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll check you next time.